Hey, this is Jason with the Nomad Experiment, and today I want to talk to you about semantics and your goals and how if you view them a little bit differently and start setting little experiments up to go along with your goals, you might find that you're a little bit happier with the results. For me, over the past 10 years, I've done tons of experiments with my travel, my work life, and I want to talk to you about a few of those things and how you can start doing those in your life to slowly make change and see some big changes over time. Simply by making little experiments and saying, okay, let me try this, let me try that, let me see how that works, let me see how I feel about that. Sit back, relax, grab a beer, let's talk. All right, so here's the thing. I have experiments in my life, and I've been doing that for about 10 years now because for me, it just helps me look at things in a way that doesn't feel as though something could be a failure or something. I achieve a goal, but yet the outcome is something that I'm, a little bit unhappy with. If I view them as experiments, it helps me say, okay, do this thing and see how you feel about it. Adjust, move, change. Do another experiment. See how you feel about it. Build upon those things. And just that little change in semantics has really helped me. So here's the thing. 10 years ago, somebody planted a seed in my head, these words, location independent. And that was back when they were a buzzword and nobody even knew what that was. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. People can work from their computers, travel around the world. I was also a kid that grew up not traveling. I was, grew up in a factory town, blue collar family, and we just didn't travel that much. We camped, we did those types of things, and that was great. But I learned about travel when I was about 24 years old. From that point, it was like, okay, I got to figure out how to do this. When I was 28, somebody introduced the idea of location independence to me, the idea of couch surfing and hostels. I learned about all these alternative ways of travel, different from the ways that Americans are typically brought up, where you save all your money, you go travel for a week, and then you wait another 6 months and you go travel again because you've blown your nut on one trip. I was learning about all these different ways, but I was scared. I was like, those are not things that I'm comfortable with. I've never traveled growing up. How am I going to go do this alternative type of travel that feels a little bit scarier and all those things? So the first thing I did, I was sitting here, I was frustrated one day, I got fed up. So I was like, okay, I'm buying a ticket somewhere. I heard Austin was cool. Okay, hostels, Austin had a couple of hostels. Cheap tickets, cool. The schedules lined up and I said, just do it. Bought the tickets, stayed at my first hostel in Austin, Texas for a week. I was scared. I was like, I didn't talk to too many people for the first couple of days, and then all of a sudden I finally started feeling comfortable, broke through, and I made some amazing friends. Spent a week there. One of the days we spent like 3 hours at nighttime out on the dock with a 24 pack of beer and like 7 or 8 people from 3 different countries, and we just shot the shit and had a great time. What happened was I realized, wow, hostels and that type of travel is something that I'm actually interested in. Well, that was 10 years ago. A year after that, I tried couch surfing for the first time. Everybody's like, well, you're gonna go stay on somebody's couch? Like, is that safe? Like, that sounds crazy. Is that gonna be fun? What's the deal? And I'm like, okay, let's do an experiment. Give it a try. Met one of my best friends to this day on my first couch surf. Me and her and 4 or 5 other people, a couple of them couch surfers, ended up swimming in the Forsyth Fountain in Savannah, Georgia, 5 hours after we all met each other. Experiment, go couch surfing. What I found was, okay, this is another viable option for me to kind of open my mind up to different ways of travel. I just bought a ticket to Mexico City. Never been out of this country. Well, take that back. I've been to Canada and I've been to London. But for me, looking at this house, I've been thinking about getting rid of it. And a lot of that is based on the conjecture of, I would love to just live out of my backpack, travel around the world, and not be able to do that. But I can't make a huge decision like that with conjecture, so I had to have an experiment. So what I did was I bought a one-way ticket to Mexico, a country where I don't speak the language. I'm going to be very outside of my comfort zone because unfortunately as Americans, we're kind of brainwashed into believing that a lot of other countries are dangerous or that we have no reason to be going to those countries. So a lot of these seeds that have been planted by society, marketing, things like that, I have to battle against those things and say, okay, let me find this out for myself. Bought a one-way ticket to Mexico City. stayed in a hostel in Mexico City, took a bus through Mexico, which was very scary for me. Went down to Oaxaca, another experiment, another hostel, different type of hostel. Went down to Puerto Escondido. You know, I actually cracked a rib surfing, and what I found was between that and my phone dying, that I need this place. I need this place for a little while. I need to be able to come home, have a home base, while I'm expanding my brain a little bit into this bigger experiment that I'm doing to say, okay, what's the rush? You know, let's stay in this house for a year, 2 years, travel more and more, you know, push my boundaries a little bit more. But that experiment of buying a one-way ticket to Mexico, saying, okay, act like one of those people you want to emulate and be a world traveler that goes by the seat of your pants, see how that feels, and then come back and take stock of that. So here's the takeaway. Set your goals, but your benchmarks need to be experiments. View them as experiments. You can find out results in an experiment that you don't deem good results, but because you're not viewing that as your overall goal, those results can be taken in stride, and you can say, you know what, that was an experiment. I learned a lot. Let me plan the next one. So go away from here, grab a beer, chill out, and say, okay, how am I going to get to the next place in my life with my work, with my relationships, with travel, and let me set up some experiments so that I can feel good about taking some steps, regardless of the results, and see where that takes you. Let me know in the comments what experiments you do for yourself, what results they yield, if they springboard you into something new, and just kind of let me know what your journey is like, because you know, mine's taken 10 years to get to this point, and I don't even think that I'm close to where I'm going to be. But you know, this mind shift has really helped me into feeling okay with those slower results, and you know, where I've been, where I'm at, and realizing that life is a long time. Let's create a lot more experiments along the way. So cool. Thanks for listening. I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you on the other side. Oh, subscribe. Hit one of those buttons over in the corner, something like that, and subscribe, because it really helps. All right, see you later.